I have a secret to share with you. Come closer. Closer. My yarn storage is a disaster. So in this video, that is what we are going to try to fix. I am going to go through and organize my yarn, wind it up, and see if we can get everything a bit more organized. Keeping this yarn wall organized and orderly is a huge task that I frequently fail at. With every project that I pull yarn and use, the organization slips a little bit more, and if you don't take the time to go through and reorganize it, it quickly gets out of hand. Even though I happen to have a ton of yarn, for certain projects I've had to order things. I ran out of a specific color, and I need that in order to finish what I'm up to. My local Joann has closed. The only thing left in my town is Hobby Lobby, and I will not be shopping there. That leaves me with very little choice other than to order online. I happen to order a lot of yarn from Premier. I really like their Premier Basics chenille yarn, and they have some really great bag deals and clearance deals, and then they also typically do free shipping if you order more than $75. The shipping's not too bad, it's like 10 or 15 bucks, but in my eyes, paying that shipping is meaning I could have bought yarn with that money instead, so I tend to just up my order whenever I'm ordering from them and get to that free shipping tier. That has left me with a lot of yarn to the point where I couldn't fit some of it into my yarn wall when I ordered it. So my solution to that was, we'll just throw it on the floor, sealed in its little plastic baggie, and I'll reorganize this and fit it in the wall later. 3 yarn orders later, I still had not made room, and there was a giant pile of yarn just accumulating at the bottom of my yarn wall. I have 2 yarn storage containers. You'd think that would be enough room for yarn, but chenille yarn really takes up a lot of space, and I also have a lot of fur yarn I got on clearance that's also taking up space. What we are gonna do today is maybe go through all of the yarn on the wall, find the skeins that I've already started using and wind some of those up, as well as any of the ones that are off sizes and hard to store, and see if we can get those pushed into the wall and make room for all of the yarn that is piled on the floor. I've also started knitting recently, which if you haven't seen it, I have a fun video about me learning how to knit that you should check out. Since I've started knitting, I've also purchased yarn in my Premier orders that would be a little nicer and geared towards some of the knitting projects that I would like to take on. My thought is that I can organize the knitting yarns and maybe some of my smaller gauge chenille yarn on the white cube storage shelf, and then reorganize everything in my wire storage wall, and maybe, hopefully, we can get all of the yarn off of the floor and into storage. That's the goal of what we are doing today. The stage has been set. We know the task at hand, so let's go get to organizing and winding up some yarn. There's no way to start this task other than to just grab something and get started. So I've grabbed a couple of skeins. I'm gonna put on my headphones, listen to a video while I wind up some yarn, and you can watch the process. One cake down. Now we just got to keep on keeping on. I think the one thing that is blatantly obvious to me, especially after going through and reorganizing and caking up a lot of my yarns, is that I have so much yarn. I have plenty of yarn, and I'm hopeful that I will not be needing to order yarn at all for quite some time. I'm probably going to run into another scenario where I'm like, oh no, crap, I'm completely out of white worsted weight and I really need it for this one specific thing. But I am hopeful that at this point in time, I have all of my bases covered and that I am not going to have to place any more yarn orders anytime soon. I definitely let my impulsiveness and excitedness for ordering new yarns for knitting get a bit out of hand when I ordered those bag deal yarns from Premier, as well as buying too much Just Chenille yarn and this Just Yarn Teddy from Dollar Tree. I am going to have to reel it way in and try to not buy anything else for at least the rest of the year, if not way longer. I've spent the last 2 hours winding up yarn and it is stacked up on the table in front of me. I got through all of my Just Chenille yarn and a little bit of the fuzzy teddy bear yarn and some random worsted weight yarns that I had in my white yarn storage container cube shelf. I am needing a break. I'm gonna stop, eat some dinner, and see if I feel up to winding up some more yarn. If not, I might just take a break for the night and come back tomorrow and we'll pick back up doing this activity. Hello, it is the next day. I am feeling a bit like we're fighting a losing battle, and no matter how much of this I wind, I'm still not gonna have enough room for it, but you never know unless you try. I've gotten most of the yarn in the white storage cube container wound up. We have a little bit more to go on that, and so I figure we'll try to do that, see if we can organize some things into that container and go from there. At this point in the video, I went on for an extended period about all of the different yarns I'm going to put into the white storage container. Rather than watch this blurry shot, we're going to skip ahead and do a time lapse of me organizing some of these yarns. Now, here you'll see me putting away some hanks of some really cool yarn that I got for knitting, but I don't have a Swift, so I'm not going to bother trying to wind it up right now. I'll wait until I'm going to use it. And here you see me putting away some DK superwash wool yarn I got for knitting, then deciding I was going to wind it up and not put it away there. One thing that I have learned about myself throughout my fiber arts journey is that I really like the appearance and drape of clothing that's made with a lighter weight yarn. So these yarns I'm putting away here are all a fingering weight yarn that I ended up getting as bag deals from Premier. My intent with these yarns was to use them for knitting, but I think they would also work nicely for crochet items like the top that I'm wearing in this video, which has such really nice drape and I really love how it turned out. The top is the Knot 19 top by JDesign76 on Ko-fi. I will leave a link for this down in the description. In trying to get all of my yarn into the little cubby and organized, I found a whole nother bag of smaller yarns that I'm gonna need to cake up. I've got more of this Just Teddy from Premier and more Just Chenille, and these tiny little skeins just don't store well in my cubby containers. They're just like a really bad size. So we're gonna wind up this whole bag of stuff, and then we'll have some cakes more like these guys over here. The Just Chenille yarn and the Just Yarn Teddy are some Dollar Tree items that are also made by Premier. I really like that Just Yarn Teddy when held with worsted weight to make like fuzzy amigurumi. It makes a really cool result. And here you see me actually winding up that DK Superwash wool. I am planning on making a sweater with this to be my first knit sweater, so follow me on social media to see how that turns out. I had huge doubts that all of this yarn was actually going to fit in my allotted storage spaces, and some of it is a bit crammed in there. However, it all fits. There's no more yarn on the floor, which is great because that is not a good storage space for yarn. And it really made me feel like a mess. It just feels a lot more organized in here now. Now, I still have a lot of my Premier Basics Chenille Brights shoved on top of my big yarn wall, but hey, it's all off the floor. It's all somewhere stored, safely. So we're just gonna take a win where we can get one. And it definitely looks a lot better than it did. I am so pleased. My camera battery died somewhere along the way while I was winding up some yarn, so I didn't get as much of it on film. You guys get the idea though, right? You put yarn on here, you crank the little thing, it spins up. How much of that do you really want to watch in one video, am I right? I also went through and reorganized my smaller cakes of used chenille yarns to try to color code them a little bit better. It had just become a mess. It's sad how much color variation there can be in one specific color, like gray, in different batches of chenille yarn and across different brands. I have so many small cakes, like scrap bits of white and gray chenille over here that I'm gonna have to work to go through. The problem is, if I've got a bigger project that requires a little bit more yardage in yarn than what I've got in this little scrap cake, I have to start fresh, otherwise it's gonna be a visible color difference in the different shades of gray. So I'm gonna have to get creative with using these up. And the same thing goes for white, which is how I ended up with so many little scrap cakes of colors like that in the first place. I'll show you some footage. We'll go on a little bit of a tour of the yarn wall and show you how it looks now. I went through and organized some of it a little better by color and worked to kind of puzzle piece Tetris different skeins and different balls into what we already had going, and now it is so much more organized. And again, no more yarn on the floor, which is a huge bonus for me. Overall, I am so pleased with how everything has turned out, and it took me a lot less time than I expected. This is all far from perfect, but it's better than it was. It's an improvement. And in life, I think sometimes that's all you can really ask for. I hope that you all enjoyed watching me get my yarn space a little bit more organized. If you did, click that like button and consider clicking the subscribe button while you're clicking things, because I upload crochet videos like this as well as tutorials every other Wednesday, and I love to make new crochet friends. Speaking of crochet friends, you can always follow me over on social media. I am Graceface Creates on all platforms. Thanks again for watching, and happy crocheting!